I'm here with Michael deMeng, who knows how to take all sorts of crazy objects and make them into fabulous art. So Michael, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thanks. Really excited to be here.
What are we learning today?
Well, we're going to basically be making briny bits. I like to call this technique the salty Swedish sea dog technique. So the idea is that we will take a two-part epoxy clay, mush it together, and then make it look like it's, a concrete or sort of a...
Something you found at the bottom of the sea.
Exactly, on the side of a ship. Exactly,
Cool.
That's the plan. That's what we're going to do.
So let's do it.
Okay, so first thing we're going to do, so I brought this crazy little dude.
I was going to say creepy was the word I was going to use.
Well, he is creepy. He's got good brows, though. Yes, he's got good brows. So what we're going to use for him is we're going to basically take a two-part mold making material. And so we're going to take this, and we have to sort of mix this together. And this is very pretty and very purple. And so I'm going to put my safety gloves on because no one really knows what will actually happen if I get this on my skin. I think it's okay, but just in case.
Well, they say for all artists, prolonged exposure, it's not about one time, it's not about 10 times. It's when you do it for a living and you're doing it, 100 times, 1,000 times, that then it becomes, you don't want to become allergic to the stuff that you work with.
That's exactly right.
Oh, you're using the entire container.
I'm going to use I'm crazy. I'm going to use the entire container because what else do I have to do today? I have nothing to do except use this entire container. So you don't have to use the entire container, but he's got a pretty big face.
Right.
So.
Now, obviously, if it's not mixed correctly, what happens is your mold doesn't set up.
Correct. We want to make sure it's as thoroughly mixed as we possibly can.
Perfect.
All right, there we go. So we got our little face.
Okay.
And now what we're going to do is we're going to smush.
So this is interesting. I thought you were going to push the face into the putty instead of the other way around.
You mean like that?
Yeah.
Well, I could do that.
So this is not a right or a wrong.
No, I could totally do that, and that would be something that you could do if you just want to have it so it's something that sits. So we could totally, if you want it to sit flat, we can do that. But if I want more coverage, which I do.
Oh, meaning you want more of the head.
I want more of this mold material,
so
right?
So you could really do like you're getting the neck and the whole thing.
Correct, right.
I see.
So, and we're just going to do the front of it. So that's what we got. We got that guy. And then we have to set. So this takes about 25 minutes. So we can just sort of hang here. You don't want to wait? Okay.
And wait.
Okay, no, we won't wait for that. Instead, lo and behold, presto magico, I have some different molds here. So these things are what we're going to actually use. And what we have to do now is we're going to use a two-part epoxy clay to put into those. So I need to change my gloves.
Because that still has the molding material, and if you mix it in, I assume it somehow contaminates
well,
it?
Honestly, I don't know what would happen.
Okay.
So we're just going to make sure that nothing bad happens.
It sort of makes sense in my brain that obviously, you'd have a problem then.
I agree. We want to make sure we know what exactly is going down. So what I'm going to do is I have these smaller containers here. Let's use these. So we're going to grab...
How do you know how much to use?
Equal parts.
Okay.
So with this particular epoxy clay, what I need to do is get 2 parts, one equal to the other part.
Okay. Now that looks like it's very stiff.
It is. And what makes it less stiff is warmth. So the warmer the area.
So the warmer your hands are,
Yep.
or is it even like if you live in a warmer climate?
If you live in Phoenix, you have no problem.
If you live in Antarctica, you might be in trouble.
You will have problems. You'll need to hang by a space heater. All right, so what I've got are roughly about 2 equal parts, right?
Okay.
And
again, you're just mixing them, and again, there's a color difference so that you'll be able to tell when they're actually mixed together.
Well, and that's my preference because, if you can find a 2-part epoxy clay that has like a different color to it, the easier it is. If you've got one that's similar, it's a lot harder to tell, but we get all this marbling, and it's a lot easier to see what's.
So the color of the clay will be the color of the finished piece that comes out. It doesn't change in color.
Well, it will be the finished piece pre-painting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then you could really use, it doesn't matter what color the clay is since we're going to paint it anyway.
Right, exactly, because I paint everything. I'm a painter by trade, but all this junk and found object stuff found its way to me.
How did you start molding in the first place?
Necessity. I said, oh, that'd be cool. Let me do that. I want that for a piece of art. And I started, you just try different techniques and you try and get it. Use them as you need them. Okay, so I think we're good. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use this guy, but first, for it to be a salty Swedish sea dog,
yes.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some salt.
So it's going to be literally salty.
He will be a totally salty Swedish sea dog now. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a whole bunch.
Oh, you are not skimping on the salt.
Heck no. All right.
And the salt isn't going to create a chemical reaction that's negative in any way with this?
As far as I know,
not so
no.
far.
Yeah.
There you go. I like this. I like your attitude about everything, which is just let's see what happens.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is I am actually going to mix the salt into here. Totally get that salt totally mixed into here. Now, I've taken the gloves off because it's actually, now that this is mixed, this is a non-toxic clay. So in theory, after it's mixed, this shouldn't cause any problems at all.
Cool. And so you're actually just really covering every inch of it and then continuing to mix that salt in.
Yep, and you can get it in as far as you want, and you can use a coarse salt if you want. This happens to be a regular table salt.
Okay.
And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna press that in, making sure I got a lot of salt on the front of it, and then I'm just gonna press that right in.
And you're just using your thumbs to sort of coax it along and let it sit in there. And how long is it going to take to actually set up?
Oh, about 2.5 hours.
Okay, so you could just leave it overnight. It doesn't hurt to leave it there. And you don't have to spray anything in the mold or anything like that.
Nope. And then we just take it out, and we've got our crusty face. Now, what we need to do once that's dry, and look, like magic, it's dry. So what we need to do is we'll still have all that salt inside there, right? So we bring some water, and that will clean out all the salt.
And you're just going to scrub that off, and now this is waterproof after it's hardened.
Correct.
Over for your 2.5 hours or whatever the manufacturer instructions are.
Yep.
And then all you have to do is add some paint, and I can see how the paint brings out all the sort of granulation in it.
Absolutely.
Which just looks so very cool.
Yep, so basically all we would do is, like, if you want to be really simple, just add like a thin coat of paint and just dab it off. You could do as crazy and detailed a paint as you want, but it's pretty easy.
So the smaller regular table salt, the coarser salt. Michael, really cool idea, super easy. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.